Hi, welcome. In this video, I'd just like to take a minute to discuss the difference between the relational approach within the framework of a roadmap to follow and the what the majority of dog trainers are following at some level when it comes to this idea about learning. When they're following this interpretive script through quadrants. Why it is that oftentimes interferes in in the process of relational change, because what it is understanding that it's all about the person. It really is about their personality, and it's about change happening in and through the person. So oftentimes these quadrants are following that roadmap. What happens is that it doesn't generate the type of change based on the scripting process that people are needing. It really doesn't. And so because it's about packaging. So this is why, when you look at, it's all about how people think. People who follow the quadrants, who are thinking a certain way, will even try to throw off anything to do with, what's called a correction or influence or negative consequences. Because they're totally, caught up in their ideology, their idea of things. And so this is why this whole issue of evaluation will go into those levels where the risk of a disconnect between response and change elevates way up. And so, it's all, because it is all about how the change is happening in and through the person at the social relational level. And I understand this is hard for people to understand because, we want, a roadmap to go off. We want to be able to look at something and follow some guide to help us get to where we need to go. But again, how I approach training, I immediately approach it through a different script, a whole different way of interacting. Immediately, I'm not following this. It's all about relational change. It's about how all the methods and techniques come together and intersect in such a way which changes how the person thinks. I mean, that's critical. And so, when you're looking at the reaction of a dog's mind through this scripting process, I'm tuning people into, I'm dialing them into a different frequency, a different way of interpreting behavior that way. And so the building blocks of change come off of what I defined as follower moments. And so you actually will see the nuts and bolts of it. You'll see the interplay of how the mind reacts, responds, and how it all moves, advances forward. But again, when you're getting into this issue of quadrants, because again, years ago I followed this. I mean, I was, but again, it brings you to a decision, but it brings you to a place where things aren't going to line up. If you have a certain level of experience with dogs, and you're handling certain situations, and then you're getting people coming to you that are failing out, this is where it becomes a character issue with people. Either you're going to conform and just accept, and then shit, because then what has to happen is the blame has to shift. I mean, that's the thing people have to understand. Or you're going to be deceived. You're going to see or make certain assumptions on a dog's state of mind, which I show oftentimes totally are wrong because of the scripting, the interpretive script. And this is the basic core tenet of many people who are using learning ideology, that I don't care what they say, they can't figure it out. They're in denial. They're just accepting things, and they're basically allowing themselves to be turned over to this way of thinking. And again, that's why I call it a false narrative, because people who say that it's love based, it's all rewarding for the, I mean, that's a load of baloney. It really is. It's a total sellout. It has nothing to do with it being positive for the dogs. It's all about the people. Okay, it's about people are totally self-focused on themselves and their own needs, that they totally are not looking at dogs this way, properly at the social relation level. They're not looking at dogs having different needs than they do. And so they're basically what they are. They're in conflict with nature. They're in opposition to nature. So even people that get upset with me and act like I'm like the only one in the dog training world that's challenging this, it's ridiculous. I'm just showing, I'm breaking it right down to the bottom level. That's what I'm doing. I mean, this system takes it further down, and rather than just saying that what I do is instinctual, or rather than just say that what I do works well, which a lot of trainers will say that, and don't get me wrong, what a lot of trainers does work well to a certain level. But the problem here is that when it does fall apart, or if a certain picture is being painted and it's counterfeit, a lot of trainers, even balance trainers, can't figure it out. Okay, there's still a level of this devaluation that's in the equation. So here, what I'm doing is I'm totally removing that from the equation. I'm actually breaking it down to such a level that fixing dogs is very intentional. Okay, you can actually, it's very consistent. You can see what's happening, and so that you're operating off, you're dialed totally into the right frequency. So anyway, just something to think about, this whole issue of quadrants and this roadmap. When things are going off, when the wheels are coming off the train for people and they can't figure it out, that's what's happening. I mean, it's about packaging. It's really about how people think and how these quadrants and how this roadmap plays into changing how people think. Oftentimes it doesn't generate what's needed to create the level of change that's needed with some people. And that's why you're getting certain levels of fail rates with certain people, and then with some dogs that are in high need of change. So these dynamics, they have to play out a certain way. The script has to follow a certain path for it to create the level of change that's needed. So anyway, just something to think about when it comes to roadmaps, and you're looking for something to follow. Within the system, there is a roadmap there, and so you can follow it. But it really requires people to dial into dogs at this relational level. It's really it's important because of this devaluation issue. You don't want this entering the equation at any level, because like I said, even a little bit can stall people out, or it can lead people into making certain assumptions which aren't true, and it can paint certain pictures of change which don't represent change. So anyway, thanks for watching.